Hello, beautiful co-creators. So I literally just got out of bed. I haven't even washed my face or gone to the bathroom or anything. And I wanted to just immediately get on this computer, which my eyes are still like, what? Because I wanted to show you this moment. Okay. When we are asking the question that so many of these like spiritual teachers or self-development teachers ask us, like, what is your passion? What excites you? Right? It can feel like a lot of pressure because a lot of us, we're like, I have no idea. Right? And so many of these teachings say, like, do what you're passionate about. That's the way. Do what you're passionate about. That's going to help you. Right? That's going to help the world. All these things. Okay. But if you feel like I have no idea what's exciting to me, that can feel really pretty awful, right? And I wanted to get on right out of this bed moment because I wanted to show you what it looks like and feels like to have something that's exciting. So it's a Saturday morning. I could have slept in. I have nothing to do this morning. Um, and it's 7 something, and I woke up um and with an idea for a YouTube video. Okay. And I was like, that's okay. Go back to bed, right? Go back to sleep. Like you get to sleep and take advantage of it. And I was so excited about doing it that I couldn't I couldn't keep sleeping. You know how little kids, they are so excited about Christmas morning that they get up at like 4, even though their body, and clearly my body is still tired, right? Even though their body is still tired and they have to get out of bed because they're so excited. That is what it felt like this morning. And that is what it has felt like for a while now, because I have now come to a place of experiencing this connection with my, um, you could call it nervous system or you could call it soul, um, that allows me to receive these little inspirations, these little nudges, right? And inspiration is something um, that feels like a clearer word to me than excitement, because inspiration can be challenging, right? So I could feel inspired to do something that is quite difficult, like Galileo, who felt very inspired to study and understand and talk about and share um, the location of the sun and the planets, right? He felt inspired to do that, and it carried him through really so-called negative experiences, right? He endured, rejection and um, house arrest and the whole world, yeah, saying that he didn't make sense and that he was going against God, all these things, which I am pretty sure had a lot of discomfort in that process. But what carried him through that discomfort was this inspiration that kept him going. Or um, Mandela, who was in prison for 27 years, but he was so inspired and committed to responding to that inspiration around his dream of um, South Africa without apartheid, right? So when we think about, I'm bringing back the yawn, right? It's a great vagus nerve activator. When we think about why do we not feel inspired, this is where I feel like the nervous system piece is a really important bridge to get many of us who have been living in chronic defense states, from the place where we're just looking for threat and there's no inspiration, right? Are you going to get tired of me doing this? When I'm back here in my lower brain, in my lizard brain, right? And all I can see is threat, and my only choices are fight, flight, freeze. There's also fawn, but my only choices are defense, right? And my only my lens is judgment. I'm not able to see things without judgment. Okay. There's no inspiration here. That's why we pair this work with art, right? That's why I'm having art sessions, because the creativity is related to inspiration, and we can try to access that through creativity. Okay, but let me not get off track. Okay, so we don't have creativity, we don't have inspiration here because we're only through judgment. Okay, there's no imagination. When we support ourselves through the nervous system, to getting back up to our executive functioning and to our access to creativity and imagination and possibility, right? Then we give ourselves the opportunity as we come out. I'm thinking of it like a bridge from chronic defense state to inspiration. Okay. When we come out via the nervous system to a place of safety, you're going to likely experience a few things. Okay. Your little system that believed it has been helping you survive is going to fight harder to get you back into that chronic defense state. As you begin to liberate yourself, your system is going to say, but this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. Yeah, excuse me. So know that, and many people describe this as like tests, right? Or like hero's journey. You're going to go through a lot of ordeals and enemies and tests. Okay. But on a very physiological level, when you're in a chronic defense state, your system has been flooded, for many of us for perhaps decades, with these stress hormones that we become dependent on. Okay. Our system is like, this is our mode. Okay. So your system feels like it needs those stress hormones because it's operated with those for so long, and you have a habit of thoughts that also is like, but something's wrong, but something's wrong. So many people will start to feel as their nervous system starts to access ventral vagal, which is the calm connected, they will feel an increase in the thoughts of like, but isn't something wrong? Aren't I supposed to be doing something? Okay. And as we come towards safety and we start to be able to rest, because in chronic defense, there's not true rest, right? When you start to begin to rest, they're also going to have a flood of like, but aren't we supposed to be scared? Isn't there a problem? Shouldn't we get nervous? Shouldn't we find a conflict, right? Or even, shouldn't I watch like a scary movie just so that I feel like, oh, okay, there's something bad going on and I feel like that's normal, right? So we go from the chronic defense state to a little bit of safety, our body is like, oh, I can rest. So for a lot of people, that takes a while, right? They have a lot of resting to do because they've been like not resting for so long. And you'll have, as you mobilize, let me show you this. As you mobilize up through, let's see, show you this. As you've been shut down in this chronic defense, or as you've been chronically anxious in this sympathetic, you begin to mobilize up towards ventral, okay? And many people experience this mobilization because you have to go up this ladder to get to ventral. Many people experience this mobilization as really unsettling, right? Especially for those of us who were mostly in dorsal, or for those of us who were socialized as women, who were told, like, be sweet, be nice. We start to have feelings of anger and feelings of irritation and the desire to set boundaries, which is all healthy, right? But it can come out in these ineffective ways, like being snippy with people, or feeling like wanting to fight or throw things, right? We can start to question this process because we can be like, but now I'm just kind of a mess, right? But coming up through sympathetic, there's a lot of ways to effectively mobilize, which I'm also going to make a video on. Okay. My little body is like, but we wanted to sleep more. I'm sure there will be a balancing out of all this. But as we come up through sympathetic and we use effective mobilization, which is like, solid, sturdy movement, like walking or stretching, yoga, scrubbing a toilet, that kind of thing, along with our distress tolerance skills that we touched on, I think, in another video, but if not, I will make it. We go on up towards ventral, and a lot of us, without the chaos of the drama up in ventral, will get to start to be able to rest, we'll get to start to be able to feel calm, and our little system will go, something's wrong, there must be something wrong, and we'll either create something wrong, or we'll watch scary dramatic shows to reassure ourselves that something wrong, give ourselves a hit of that, those stress chemicals, because we're craving them, right? And we can spend a lot of time bouncing back into sympathetic and dorsal. And this is the crucial point where some people can even say, I'm feeling bored, right? I had this. And I hear a lot of people going through the SSP have this. So you get to the point where, like, there's no more crises. There's no more constant stress hormones. And you start to feel like, well, what is this about? It's not very exciting. It's not quite the same definition of exciting, right? But we have convinced ourselves that the excitement is the drama. Now, this does not mean that the environment starts to get without problems or challenges, but it can just, when we start to learn that we don't have to engage with every so-called problem, with everything that doesn't go the way we prefer, when we start to practice radical acceptance, it can feel like there's not much going on, okay? And I'm here to tell you, if you can support yourself through that sort of bored phase, the next thing that comes online is the inspiration. And here's what I think is a little link that can help you get through from the boredom to the inspiration. Pleasure, okay? Sounds a little funny, right? Prior to my journey did not know how to experience pleasure. I knew how to give myself like little dopamine hits, right? Through, you know, some exciting show or social media or it's so funny. Someone's knocking at my door at 8 in the morning. It's all right. They're fine on a Saturday. Um, you know, I can give myself these little dopamine hits, which feel like excitement, but feel like pleasure or like a special coffee drink or something, right? Or a special dessert. Um, but bringing pleasure in as a practice, not as a discipline, because I think that word's a little judgy, but as a practice is what brought me from that sort of boredom, like, isn't something supposed to be wrong, over to inspiration. And how did I do that? Okay. I, um, at the point when I started, I couldn't identify anything that brought me like true joy. Okay. Other than my child. And I was trying to find something that was not role dependent, didn't depend on my role as a partner or a parent or a worker or a friend. I was trying to find something that was pleasure just based on me as a soul. Okay. So I remembered that when I was young, I really enjoyed reading. And I had been reading my adult life, but only self help, like personal development books and like work related books. Okay. So I challenged myself to reading 10 minutes a day of fiction. And for at least the first month or two, it was like having a panic attack. Okay. You know what I think? I actually just think it might be a delivery. I'm going to pause this recording. Okay. Okay. That was such a perfect example of inspiration. That was the little neighbor kid who wanted to play with my kiddo, who is moving in 10 days and is having big feelings about it. And he just wanted to have a big hug and a chat and a connection. And that he was responding to that inspiration, right? Woke up early on a Saturday morning and reached for that connection that he was longing for unapologetically, right? He couldn't not, he was compelled. That's inspiration. Oh, what a love. So we just had a real good heart to heart and lots of hugs. Okay, because my kiddo's not home, so I just spent some time with him. Okay. So where were we? Pleasure. So I decided to take 10 minutes a day to read fiction. Okay. It was so uncomfortable. I basically had panic attacks. My nervous system fought it so hard because in my paradigm before, it was that I was here on this planet to serve other people. And if I didn't serve them well, then I didn't deserve to be on the planet. That was my foundation prior to going on this journey to rediscover. And so doing something for myself that was not of service to anyone else went completely against that paradigm. And I'll tell you, all of my little parts came out to kick and scream and freak out because they were so terrified that we were going to be struck by lightning by some god in the sky, right? It was excruciating. But I continued to do it, right? I continued. And guess what started happening? Outside of this little 10-minute window, I would reach for that book and read for 2 minutes. I remember so clearly when my kid was doing like nighttime routine of brushing teeth, all of that, I would grab my book and I would sit in the hallway next to the bathroom and be reading. I found myself reaching for that book all of the time and enjoying it, which was enjoying something was very new for me. And this snowballed. I started painting again, and I still was uncomfortable spending any money on myself. So with this paradigm, because it wasn't about serving someone. So I got $1 like kids paint from Walmart, and I bought a packet for $4 of packing paper, you know, that very thin paper that you wrap like a cup in when you're moving. And I spread out that packing paper and I taped it together. And I used this $1 paint, and I painted these big paintings, like 100 of them in like a week. And I proceeded for 6 months to be just like ravenously painting, inspired to paint. No one was seeing these paintings. No one was paying me for these paintings. That's the other trap when you get to this point of when it flips from pleasure into inspiration. Okay. The trap is for at the pleasure stage for you to go, how can I monetize it? How can I make an Instagram account about it? How can I make a YouTube channel about it? How can I put it into a practical, logistical, I can earn money and I can be paid for my passion thing? That is a trap. That is a condition. You're putting a condition on it. I can only have this if I get paid. Okay. And that will make it an obligation and not an inspiration. Okay. So that's something to really, really watch out for. So I was painting, 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 inspired. Wake up just like this, wake up in the morning, paint before work, come home, get my kid all situated, then paint more. I had taped those packing papers all over the walls, and I was painting these giant things. And sometimes my kid would come in and paint with me. It was so fun. And that evolved. Someone was talking to me about like, what else do you really like to do? What's the thing that's been consistently? And I was still trying to think of something that someone could pay me for, right? So I was like trying to think of something that was marketable, but I didn't have those things. So the other thing I love is sewing in a straight line. I've always loved like mending something of my kids' clothes. Okay. So I started doing that and doing that. And then one day I looked up, I was like, this makes me feel better. So I looked up, like, is sewing good for your mental health? And sure enough, there's this whole thing called the slow stitching movement. So I got really inspired by and into that. And I was sewing like all the time in all my spare moments. I wasn't painting anymore, but I was sewing. And I made a YouTube channel of that. I like got like 250 subscribers or something in a very overnight way with no marketing or advertising. And it was like always dark and shaky and like not even in the screen. And some people would write like, these are so poor quality. And I was talking about life and sewing. I was doing it because it just was fun. Okay. And that is what inspiration feels like. And maybe fun is not the word. Compelled. I felt compelled to do it. I felt excited by it, right? I wanted to do it. And when there was a moment without it, I thought about doing it. When I woke up, I thought about doing it. When I was going to bed, I brainstormed ways to do it, right? That is inspiration. And like Bashar says, the excitement is not in the construct of our society where it's like, you are going to want to be an engineer and then you're going to go to school and become an engineer and you're going to be an engineer for the rest of your life and you're going to get paid consistently and everybody's going to clap for you. Excitement is sometimes just a little carrot that like draws you towards, you know, um, whenever it drew me towards painting. And then I painted for a whole bunch and then I didn't paint so much anymore. And then I sewed for a whole bunch and then I didn't sew that much anymore because then I got connected with this nervous system stuff and now I'm excited about that. And maybe that's going to change. You can see I've made like a bunch of videos in the past week because I keep being like inspired to do it, compelled to do it. I just am like, I want to do everything else quickly and then come do more of this, waking myself up on a Saturday morning, to do it. And that may pass. And maybe next month I'm going to be like taking pictures of fall leaves, which are so beautiful. Um, who knows? And none of it has a condition. It doesn't require a specific outcome, which is also why I think this sort of overnight business developed with the SSP. Because if you don't know the story, you can find it somewhere. But when I talked with Jessa Reed, I had no outcome in mind. I had no condition. I had said, I'm done with the SSP. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then it turned into 50 people wanting to do the SSP with me, right? So I had no condition on it. And just now making this YouTube channel this past few weeks, I have no condition on it. It just feels like what I want to do. And I have no condition on it. I was trying to buy a condo and I had a lot of conditions on it. I wanted it to be only in our same condo complex. I wanted it to be in a certain area of our condo complex. It needed to happen in a certain time period at a certain price. And I kept trying, like 3 times I made offers and none of them were accepted. They were like blown out of the water by cash investors and it was just ridiculous. So I gave up and I took my down payment and I put it toward my student loans. And then you know what happened 2 days later? When I surrendered this darling cottage that was in my price range, which I was not looking at houses at all because where I live, houses are exorbitantly more than a condo. I wasn't even considering in a house. I had told my realtor I only want to stay at this condo complex. I don't know why she sent this to me, but she sent it to me and said, look at this little cottage. It's like gutted and in bad shape, but it's in your price range and you could fix it up and have a house. And I was like, I just used my down payment to pay my student loans because I gave up. And she was like, let's just go see it. So I went and saw it. And then I was like, you know what the heck? Let's try it. So sure enough, my offer was accepted, right? And not only was my offer was accepted, there were 5 investors who were wanting to buy it cash. And as the day drew near to the deadline for the offers, they all fell out. I was the only offer. So it was only the seller only had me as an option. That is inspiration, right? No conditions, all the synchronicities, because that's what Bashar explains happens is that when you're following your excitement, all the synchronicities support you. So when I had no conditions on this and I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know, it sounds crazy, let's try it. All the synchronicities supported it. Like even one day I went to show my friend the house and pulled up and the owner was there and we got to talk to him and he got to know me a little bit, which typically doesn't happen. Right. So the synchronicities support you when you don't have all this condition, weight upon it, expectation. Okay. So how does that feel? That's a lot of information. I think my main message is to those of you who are like, I'm not excited about anything, right? You make sense. It is not possible to be inspired when you're here, okay? When you're in your lizard brain, you cannot be inspired. You're literally being blocked from inspiration because it's for your safety, right? Or for your perceived safety. And we don't want to judge what the nervous system is doing because the nervous system is doing its best, okay? The nervous system believes you're in danger, and so it's going to do everything it can to protect you. And we don't want to reject or shame or blame the nervous system. We want to support it. So that's why we do the nervous system regulating exercises. If that's what you want, everybody has their timing. And if you are, as long as you need to stay in the defense state, you need to stay in the defense state. And maybe that's a whole lifetime. That's okay. Who am I to say, right? But if you're someone who's wanting to feel that inspiration, who's wanting to feel that safety, then this is a practical option for you. Doing the nervous system regulating exercises every day, like 10 minutes, sprinkled throughout your day, right, is an opportunity for you that is going to give your nervous system the possibility of coming up into your executive functioning and being able to observe and make decisions and see solutions and experience pleasure and then inspiration if that's what you want. Okay, and it's not just the nervous system regulating exercises, because what that does is that just opens us up to being able to have the resources to look at our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions. Okay, once you get there, that's a whole nother chunk of um, work, right? That's why I use the work of Byron Katie. It's called work because it is challenging, right? And I spent about 7 years repeating my DBT class, which taught me about radical acceptance and, um, you know, taking care of my physical body and um, learning how to set boundaries and learning how to use assertive communication, all of these things. And this is what's all embedded in the 12-week Be the Change course, which is why it feels so precious to me, is all of these 10 years of study are distilled into this 12-week course. Because once you get the opportunity to look at your thoughts and emotions and beliefs, there's a lot to be done there, and it can be uncomfortable, right? Um, but when we hold those painful parts of us in love and we show them through our love that we're not going to kill them, we're not going to discard them, we're going to accept and understand them, and we're going to support them in having more options, more possibility, so that they can experience the rest and the pleasure and the inspiration. And that's not a hop, skip, and a jump, right? This is not a magic wand. Even the SSP isn't. The SSP is very powerful, but it it has to be paired with that commitment to supporting your nervous system and then really looking through your thoughts, emotions and beliefs with a therapist or with a coach, doing the work of Byron Katie, um, taking a course, whichever path is right for you. So this is a journey, is what I'm trying to say. I think the ETs like Bashar, who are like, just follow your excitement, they don't really relate to sort of where we are in the moment and the process it takes to get ourselves to excitement. Okay, so it's a journey. The timing is whatever it is for you. In the universal perspective, everything is happening at once. So if it takes you 10 years, it takes you 10 years, and that 10 years is not a waste. If you've been in functional freeze for all of your life, that time period is not a waste. It brought you here today, and wherever you are, whenever you are, is just the right thing, because there's no right thing, right? So I really want to be gentle with you, and I want you to um, question the judgment of these paradigms that says you should be waking up out of bed excited. If you wake out of your bed in despair and dread, there is a path for you if you'd like to wake up out of bed inspired. And it will take commitment and time, and there are resources available for you. It is possible. And being connected with another person or course or group of people who can say to you, it is possible when you're doubting it, that can be really lovely. So I'd love to connect with you. You can see everything on www.anexperiencer.com. Free ebook for nervous system regulating activities. I will continue to follow my excitement about these YouTube videos. So if there's something that you specifically would like me to make a video about, please put it in the comments. Please like this and subscribe if that feels right for you. Pass it on if you know someone who you think it might benefit, and ignore it if it doesn't fit for you. And remember that I deeply love you, whoever you are and wherever you are. And actually, I'm just going to take a few deep breaths and send you all my love. I believe that you're absolutely innocent, that you make sense, that you are meant to be here, that there is nothing wrong with you, and that you are the missing piece to our puzzle, just the way you are. And I love you so very much. All right. Big hugs, big hugs. Love you, love you, love you.